Hello and welcome everybody. Welcome to another Sectors Made Simple webinar. Now, you may notice something a little weird. Well, this. But funny enough, this is the topic of today's webinar. Today, I want to talk to you all about VR, AR, and what they mean for this new company called Meta and what they have planned for it. Meta is a lot more than just Facebook. The metaverse is this idea that applies to many companies. And with the world of possibilities that it creates for us, it also has some challenges and some risks along with it. So today, I want to talk about all of that. I'll get to show you what I see from a VR headset, and we'll cover the world of virtual reality and augmented reality, and how they come together to create the metaverse. So I'm going to take this off really quick, and we can get started. So, hello everyone, and welcome to the lovely world of VR hair. That's just going to be something that happens. It's a good thing that the camera doesn't see what your hair looks like. But I want to get started with the presentation, and then we'll come back to the whole VR side of things. So one sec, let me just fix this a little bit. All right. Welcome to the presentation. Today, we're going to talk about VR, AR, and Meta. This disclaimer is extremely important today. So I'm going to say this, and I'll probably say this again a couple times through this presentation. I'm going to be talking about a lot that has happened in the past about virtual reality, some of the companies involved in it, and some major controversial events that have happened with some of these companies. The purpose of these is not to give the companies a bad name or to tell you that this is how you should feel about these companies. Instead, it's my goal to give you information that is out there and to let you come up with your own decision. I will share my opinions, but those are solely my opinions, so please, I fully encourage you to listen to what I have to share and to create your own opinions as well. So, let's get straight into the action, shall we? Today's topic is all about, as I've said multiple times, VR, AR, and the metaverse. This topic is not new, but has been thrown into the news because of Facebook. Facebook Inc., we all know and either love or hate that company. Facebook's big announcement that they're going to be changing their name from Facebook to Meta, with a focus on building an environment, a world called the Metaverse. So I wanted to cover what virtual reality and augmented reality, the two big pieces of technology that make the Metaverse possible. I want to talk about what those are. And I want to talk about where these technologies are today and some of the challenges that are facing this industry. Now, again, there's going to be a lot of my opinion kind of things that I'm going to talk about here because, after all, I own a VR headset. Oculus, the name of the company that makes this headset, is owned by Facebook. And I think the technology is cool. So I'm going to have a lot of good things to share about it, but there's also some not so great things that we need to talk about. So everyone can and should use the information from today's webinar to make their own opinions. So let's get started by talking about what VR actually is. VR stands for virtual reality. It's a type of technology that replaces what you see. You can turn your head and what you see changes if you're looking to the right or to the left. It's like looking to the right or left in real life. You see the world around you. It is something you can touch. It's something you can feel. Now, VR is a little different. You can't touch and feel the world around you in a digital world. But what if you could see a world around you that is not what's in your environment? What if you could see an entirely new world that you can look around in or even walk around in and to touch things? It's not going to feel like you're picking something up, but you can pick up and interact with things in your world. VR is often done by wearing a headset, like the one you saw me wearing earlier. Inside of it, there's two little screens. There we go. Two little screens, one for each eye. And if you're curious to like figure out what it would show you on each of those screens, do this. Cover one eye. Whatever you can see right now is what that eye would see in VR. Now, cover the other eye. Whatever you see right now is what you would see through that eye. Each of these two little screens is going to show you something different. So that when you're looking in VR, it's like you're looking through binoculars. Everything seems normal. It doesn't seem like you're watching a television screen. The entire world is, whatever you see is your entire vision. And if you look left, you turn. You can now see what's there. And it takes up your entire field of vision. From one end of your sight to the other, you see the world around you. So, what can VR actually do? Older headsets, and we're talking 2012 to 2014 headsets, only worked by showing you a picture or a video that takes up your vision. You can only look straight forward, and if you turn, the picture moves with you. But in newer headsets, it can follow your movements like you would see in real life. This allows you to turn your head and for your vision to see what it would look like to move around. And often, VR headsets come with little controllers that let you touch, move, and interact with things around you in the virtual space. I want to show this to you all. And to do that, I'm going to put on the headset and then have you look at what I am seeing in VR. If you've never worn a VR headset, try and find an opportunity to do so. It is wild. But let me throw this headset on and I'll show you what I mean. So you put it on by just wearing it like that. And then let me bring up this screen. All right. So now when I'm wearing the headset, what I can do is I can do that. So welcome to the world of VR. This is my home. There's not much, but this is my world. If I look up, you can see up. If I look down, you can see down. Actually, here, let me make it full screen. There we go. So, here's what it looks like to look around in VR. You can see that I'm not in my living room. I'm not looking at a computer. I'm looking out at a futuristic city. And if you look, I can see my hand. If I move my thumb, I can see my thumb move. If I move my index finger, I can see my index finger move. And if I grab, I can see my middle finger grabbing. It knows where my fingers are, and it knows where my hand is. And it's really cool because it doesn't feel like you're in another world. It just feels like normal. Maybe, I don't like this space. Let's change it. Much better. now we can sit and watch the snow and relax together. Not your style? All right. Well, let's go to a nice little desert. We can look out and watch the balloons. And again, if I turn my head left, you see what's to my left. If I turn to the right, you can see what's to the right. And that's really what VR is. It's creating a different world that you can interact with. I can touch things. I can hold things. I can pick things up. That menu right there, I don't want it there. I can move it. I have control over everything in this space. And because it's digital, we don't need to follow the rules of reality. We can make things to be whatever we want them to be. And our hands still work. We can still touch things. We can move things. And yes, we can bump into things. All right, everyone that goes into VR is going to hit their hand or their head on something. That's to be expected. But I wanted to show you all what it looks like to experience VR from a very simple but still real standpoint. So, I'm going to take this back off and let's continue. So, that's what it looks like to see a different world. And again, there's no real replacement for putting on one of these headsets yourself and looking around and experiencing in a very weird way, because it doesn't feel, it feels real. It feels like you are really there, and it's strange. What's up?
Nanny's asking how you're sharing.
How am I sharing? Oculus has a website you can go to, oculus.com/casting. And then if my headset is on the same Wi-Fi as my computer, I can share to that. I can also stream to my television as well, which is super handy. So oculus.com/casting lets me cast my Oculus. Now, again, if you've noticed, there's no cables here. There's no computer that this is attached to. This is the computer. This is the screen, this is the battery, and this is the computer. All in a headset that you can take, throw around, pack in your suitcase, and it's your own virtual home anywhere. I can go over to the workout area and I can put on the headset and I can be in my world. So that's VR. Now, who is actually involved in VR? Because I'll tell you what, while the cost has gone down significantly in the past, there is still a lot that it takes to research and develop virtual reality headsets and tracking. And because of that, there's only a certain amount of companies that can really do it and do it well. So I'm going to go through some of the biggest here, and we'll talk about the differences, because they don't all do the exact same thing. So some of the biggest include Google. Google's whole thing with VR is, instead of, by the way, this is $300, just as a heads up. So we're talking expensive tools. Google, their whole thing is you buy a little holder for your phone for $15, and it's called Google Cardboard. And then you take your cell phone and you stick your cell phone in that piece of cardboard. And your cell phone becomes your screen. And because your cell phone knows if it's being moved, if it's being rattled, when you move your phone, it changes your view as well. So Google's whole approach is take the tech that you already have and use it to create VR. Now, it's not going to be good. It's going to be really low quality, it's going to be slow, but it's VR. And it's on something that you already own. You didn't need to spend $300 to buy a headset for it. Then there's Sony and HTC. These two companies have gotten involved with the video game side. Sony, of course, makes PlayStation. PlayStation has a whole library of games that use VR. So Sony's kind of approach is from the video game standpoint. They create games and environments for you to play in VR. HTC is very similar. Their whole approach is from the game side of things. Now, Microsoft, Samsung, and Nvidia are all more on the work side of things. What I didn't show you, and it's hard to show you in VR, is what I can do is I can tell VR, hey, my desk is right here. And it puts my desk in my space. So inside of that room that you saw that had nothing in it, I can put my desk, I can put my table, I can put my couch, I can tell VR where all of those things are. So I can get up and walk over to the couch in VR and see my real couch. I can come over and sit at my desk and see my real desk. So Microsoft, Samsung, and Nvidia, they are trying to go about this by creating an office. You can turn your real desk into a desk that you can work at in VR. And then, yes, Meta is a huge player. Right now, Meta is the largest VR company there is because Oculus. Oculus was founded in 2012, and I used one of the first developments, or one of the first versions of the Oculus VR headset. It was extremely heavy. It gives you neck pain if you wear it for more than a half hour. And they required you to take breaks because it was so low quality and such a low frame rate that you would get sick, like actually nauseous, because of playing in VR. Your brain doesn't like that. You're used to seeing the world around you in good detail, and if you move your hand, everything has motion to it. Being in VR, old VR, was like the entire world was moving half as slow, or you could see things half as slow, and everything was really blurry. It was terrible. But it was VR. And that's where it started. Not too long after, in 2014, Facebook bought Oculus for $2.3 billion. And ever since then, they've been developing the technology. From being these really heavy, low image quality devices that required long cables to use. This is what it used to take. I needed to have one of these attached to my computer because all the headset was a screen. Everything that happened in VR happened on my computer, and then instead of seeing it on a computer screen like you're watching this webinar, I had one of these 30-foot long cables connected to the side of my headset. Now, I'll tell you one thing. You couldn't do this with old VR. If you did that with an old VR headset, congratulations, you're now going to be untangling your cable from your chair for the next half hour. So these old headsets were heavy, uncomfortable, kind of terrible to use, and yeah, they required a computer, a really strong computer, a game console, and a very long cable to actually use. Today, Most of the VR headsets have become wireless, and again, this is the computer, the display, the storage, and the power, all in one. And for a way lower cost than what it used to be. These Quest 2s are about $300. And for what you end up getting, that's pretty crazy. Like, that is an amazing product. So, why does it matter? Why am I going through and showing you what VR is? Why am I taking the time to tell you about all of this? Well, when it was originally created, a lot of VR's focus was on video games, putting yourself inside the game. It's incredibly fun to be in the game. If you're playing a game where you have to play music along with the song, it's a lot of fun to see the music around you and to be able to actually like drum in VR and see all of these amazing lights flashing around you. It is a blast. It is immersive and it is so fun. It is such a fun experience. Also a really, really good workout. A lot of exercises can be done in VR where you can join a virtual workout class. You see the teacher in front of you, you see that they're doing yoga poses, and you can follow along with them, all while watching the waves and the sunset in front of you. Is it dangerous for young teenagers? I'm not a health expert. I'm not going to be able to answer that, sadly. Now, as technology has developed, VR companies and other major tech companies have realized that the goals of VR can be a lot more than just video games. One of the largest goals today for VR manufacturers is to create workspaces, offices, conferences in VR. But before we get into this and why it's really important, I want to talk about that other two-letter word that we said earlier, AR. So I want to talk about AR before we get into the metaverse. AR stands for augmented reality instead of virtual reality. Virtual reality takes you and puts you into a new world. Everything around you is now changed. AR, instead of creating a new world, what they do is they take your world and just change or add things to it. The best way to explain this, honestly, is just to show you some examples and show you how it works. So first, we're going to look at a video game example of AR. And then after that, we're going to look at some everyday applications for AR, my apologies. So first, let's talk about augmented reality in video games. One of the largest creators of augmented reality games is a company called Niantic. They are almost $1 billion company that makes games that requires you to do things in the real world. You can't just play them sitting at home staring at your computer screen. No. They require you to go out and explore your city or sometimes the world. Their first game that used AR was called Ingress, but by far their most popular game and the one that has made them to being an almost $1 billion company is called Pokemon Go. Let's use this as our example. In order to play Pokemon Go, you need to go in real life, in person. You need to go out and find Pokemon. They are these little creatures that you can click on and then you need to try and catch to add them to your collection. And to do this, you need to go out to parks, to major monuments in your city, and you need to go to where the Pokemon are or to where these points of interest are in order to play the game. You can't play it sitting at home. You need to go outside, walk to wherever that thing is, and then you can play the game. This here is a screenshot example of what the game looks like. That person is standing in a park. That is not their background. That is not the background of the game. That is, they are actually in a park trying to catch this little yellow rodent. Now, I can explain that to you, but I want to give you guys some real world examples here. Kira and I did some traveling, and when we were traveling, we played Pokemon Go. And in some of the cities that we visited, the way that we walked around the city, the way that we discovered the city was by playing Pokemon Go. It tells you where different statues and different monuments and historical plaques are around the city, and they encouraged you to go to those places and play the game there. So that's how we explored Dublin. That's how we explored Melbourne. That's how we explored Berlin, Tokyo. Many of the cities that we visited, we explored through playing Pokemon Go and having the game tell us where to go. It's a very fun experience that takes a video game, which is usually this, you sit in one place and you play it, to the point where there was about a weekend period where each day I walked about 10 to 14 miles just to go and catch these little virtual creatures. So we're not just talking here about a video game, we're talking about something that gets you out and gets you going to parks, to major monuments, to points of interest, to restaurants, and more. That is what AR can do for video games. But it goes a lot further beyond just video games. While augmented reality has become a game genre, a type of game, the benefits of AR apply to so much more than just gaming. So here are some other examples of how AR can be used in our everyday lives. This one, actually, I didn't even know was a thing until I was having a conversation with Nate. Nate and I were talking about a breed of dog, and I was trying to tell him how big that breed of dog was. So I went on Google to show him a picture, and Google suggested, why not see the dog in AR? This is what it looked like, by the way. This is not some image that I found or anything like that. You can literally go on Google, say Labrador Retriever, and it will take a Labrador Retriever and stick it inside your house. You can see how big that dog would be standing next to you, your kids, your dogs, your furniture, whatever. You can see how big that animal is. You can do that with dogs, with cats, or lions, or tigers. Google has taken this idea and done a lot with it so that you can see how big things are, not by using a banana for scale or not by using a ruler to tell you how tall it is. No, put it inside of your house and then you know how big your furniture is, and if you see an animal next to your furniture, it tells you a good idea of how big that animal is. Now, that's cool, but that's not necessary. We don't need that. But what if I don't like this okay, I do like this couch, but what if I didn't like this couch and or I just bought a new house and I wanted to get furniture for my house? You can go onto websites and you can look and buy furniture by doing this. You find the color that you like, and then you can take that couch and put it inside of your room. You can look at how big that couch is inside of your room. You can change the color. You can look at other brands. You can design an entire room in augmented reality using the real room, not taking measurements, then going to the store. No. On your phone, you tell it, I want a blue couch and I want it on that wall. And you can see, as if you were looking at it in real life, what that couch would look like in your home. This is huge because this can also be done and is done for hair. You can look at how a haircut would look. You can change your hair color and see how you'll look with red hair, blue hair, green hair. You can try on clothing. You can see how that t-shirt might look on you. You can see how those shoes might look on you. You can look at how the shoes might look on your cat. The options for what augmented reality can do for us is huge because virtual reality is cool. It creates a new world. Augmented reality improves our world. It takes something that we see, touch, and interact with and lets us change it using technology, and it's so easy. So that's augmented reality, and that's just the start. There are many other uses for AR, such as tourism, medical training, education, and there's more uses added every single day. VR technology is incredibly difficult and requires a ton of money and resources and investments. Augmented reality doesn't. It's much easier and much simpler to get it to us. It's all done on your phone and through websites. You don't need to buy $300 headsets. You have your cell phone and a website, and that's all you need. So let's look so far at what we've learned so far. Virtual reality requires a headset to change everything around you into a digital world. VR can follow your movements and make you feel like you're in that new space. Augmented reality, or AR, takes the world around you and changes it using technology. So, what's the metaverse? Because after all, that's why we're here, right? It's to learn about the metaverse. So, the metaverse is a term that was created by Meta. Sorry, their name is now Meta. It's going to take a little bit to get used to. But the idea of that already kind of exists. The metaverse, the goal of the metaverse is to be a digital world where you can interact with other people. You can talk with other people, you can see them in front of you, and you can do stuff with them. You can work, you can play, you can do whatever. This technology has existed for decades in games called MMORPGs, or to turn a bigger acronym bigger, massive multiplayer online role-playing games. Video games with thousands of people. And I'm not saying thousands of people to exaggerate. I'm literally saying some of these games have 100,000 people online at any given time. One of the games, just to show you an example, here's one MMORPG that has 89,000 people currently playing it. That's not 85,000 accounts created, that's 89,000 people that are playing that game this second. So you can join that game and go and chat and meet 89,000 people. But that's on your computer. That's on your screen. What if you wanted to see that person? You wanted to interact with them. You wanted to talk with them, not just type it. Those VR spaces exist as well. There are places such as VR chat, which is completely free if you own a VR headset, that you can go to different what are called rooms. And you can join a room, and you're not going to see me or Juan de los Palotes there. What you'll see is you'll see whatever they want it to look like. They may look like, I don't know, they may look like Mickey Mouse, or they may look like Sonic the Hedgehog, or they may look like an angel, or whatever. You can make your character in a virtual world whatever you want. There's no rule. Well, I guess there are some rules. Keep it kind of family friendly. But you can make your character into whatever you want. You can look like whatever you want. And you can change what you look like. And then you can join rooms. And to tell you some of the, again, a lot of this tech is fun, but is also very useful. And I want to talk about the useful stuff. One of the main uses of VR chat is if I want to practice, for example, Spanish. I want to practice speaking Spanish. There are rooms in VR chat that I can go into that room, and the rule there is you can only speak Spanish. Everyone in that room will speak Spanish. So you can go and you can practice speaking foreign languages with other people that are from those countries, or speak those languages, or are trying to practice themselves. From your house, you can throw yourself into the middle of a room that is run as if it was Mexico. The environment looks like just a very traditional city in Mexico, where they took a 360 video in, I don't know, Tijuana or Cabo, and you can go there and you can practice Spanish with whoever else is there. They have these for Japanese, Chinese, Korean, German, Dutch, any language. There's probably multiple rooms for you to go and talk and meet other people that are experts in that language, are from the countries that speak that language, or just want to practice like you do. So that's VR. And a lot of what Meta is supposed to be already exists in VR. But the Metaverse is a lot more than just that. The goal of the Metaverse is not just to be a video game or a place to hang out with friends. The goal of the Metaverse is meant to be an entire world that extends both across AR and VR. What that means is you can go and you can play games with friends in VR. You can go to a range and go shoot bows and arrows. Or you can play ping pong in VR. You can play pool in VR. Or you can go to work. You can go to a meeting where you see everyone else's avatars, their characters, sitting at a table watching a presentation. And then there's one person who's in their costume or their avatar giving that presentation. Imagine if you could see me, but instead of me, you saw Mickey Mouse. If I moved my hand, Mickey Mouse would move his hand. If I moved my head, Mickey Mouse would move his head. You can do that in VR. You can buy clothes. You can buy houses. You can create your own world in VR. And what this does is it creates a giant world of opportunities for brands, for companies to sell merchandise, sell houses, sell clothing, sell cars, all in an online space. Think of it like this. The recent lockdowns and issues in the world have caused many of us to have to work from home. What if, without needing to do your hair, your makeup, your clothes, and go to work, you put on your VR headset, and now all of a sudden, you are in your office. You have your real desk in real life. That's the AR part, is using things from real life in whatever you see. You have your desk in real life be in your virtual office. You have your computer in real life be in your virtual office. And you can work using your real computer. I can actually type on my keyboard in virtual reality. But instead of me just staring at a wall or at Kira, I see all of my coworkers. I see my boss. I see everyone like I'm in an office with all of those other people. That's what the goal of the metaverse is. You play, but you also work. You take your desk, your computer, your couch, and you create an augmented reality world where you have in your headset, you have your real desk, your real computer, your real couch, but everything else is virtual. When you look left and right, you see what's to your left and what's to your right, all in this virtual space. Now, back to this last statement, because this is where the real meat and potatoes of today's conversation goes to. Meta is not doing this because it's going to revolutionize the working industry or the gaming industry. They're doing this because it creates opportunities for advertisers. Facebook wants to do it for money. When you create opportunities for brands to create new products, yes, it lets those brands make money, but the advertisers also make a lot of money. And they also get a lot of user data. I'm about to talk a lot about user data, so I want to talk about what that is to make sure everyone's on the same page here. User data is the idea of collecting information about me, you, and Juan de los Palotes. And that's not anything new, okay? So before we go anywhere, technology and the internet did not make user data become a thing. We can't blame Facebook for the fact that user data collection is a thing. It's been going on for almost 100 years. Back in the 1920s, a company called Nielsen collected data and information on consumers, where they started off by asking stores, how much did you sell this month? Who did you sell to? How many of them were under the age of 40? How many of them are under the age of 12? How many of them are over the age of 60? And by collecting data, they can learn more about who buys what and when. Rita's saying, mi nieto está jugando New World. Yeah, New World is an MMO created by Amazon. So many companies, including Amazon, are trying to get in on the whole online gaming thing. So that was 1920s. In 1944, what they started to do was collect data on radio. They started to know who is listening to what channels, when, where. Are they in their car? Are they at home? Are they listening alone? Are they listening with a family? They started to learn who is listening. What are you like? Are you male, female? How old are you? Are you listening with your family? Are you listening alone? Are you listening on the way to work? That was 1944. In 1950, they started collecting television data. Nielsen would pay you. They would say, all right, we'll give you $10 a year to take this little box and hook it up to your television. So when you're watching TV, it sends Nielsen data that says, all right, Juan de los Palotes was watching Jeopardy. Well, not exactly. It's not going to say Juan de los Palotes is watching CNN at 9 p.m. Instead, what it's going to do is it's going to say, user 5501 watches Jeopardy at 7 p.m. on Fridays with his family of 3. That is what it will do. That is what data collection is supposed to look like.
Where are the language chats?
Where are the language chats? I don't know any off the top of my head. There aren't any really big places to find them, but I can, if you're interested, send me an email and I can definitely try and help to find some rooms if you're curious. But again, the main thing about user data that I want to show you here is this is not new. Facebook didn't create the idea of collecting information about who you are and what you do with your time. This is an old idea. It's almost 100 years old. This is not something new, and we can't blame Facebook or Google for the fact that this happens. They're just using the new technology for it. And again, it's not saying Jonathan Stav likes to watch Jeopardy at 9 p.m. What it's going to say is you're going to be a number. You're going to just be a line in a large spreadsheet. And they're going to collect information about you. Are you watching alone? Are you watching with your family? Are you watching at home? Are you listening in the car? It's going to know a lot. And think about it like this. How many times have you been watching a baseball game or a sporting event and it goes to the commercial break? No one likes to watch commercials, so you try and change the channel to go from ABC to CBS. Oh, they're on a commercial break too. How about ESPN? ESPN's on a commercial break. At some point, a person collecting data found out that when it goes to commercials, you're going to try and go to another channel so that you don't need to deal with the commercials. So companies started to all time their commercials at the same time so that you don't have an option to say, all right, I'm going to go from ABC to CBS. ABC, CBS, Telemundo, and ESPN are all running ads at the same time so that you're not going to switch channels. You're just going to stay on whatever channel you were watching it. That was decades ago. Let's bring things back to 2021 and talk about where user data is today. Today, big companies and even small companies collect your data. Now, just like in the old days, advertisers, companies that want to sell you a product, will advertise to you, me, Juan de los Palotes, and are, instead of just screaming their message to the entire world, they're just going to try and say, I only want to advertise to people that are between this age and this age, that watch this channel at this time. They're going to try and only talk to the people that have the highest chances of buying their product. And the better the company understands you, the easier it is for them to give you product advertisements that you would buy. Now, this type of advertising leads to different opinions of the idea of what's called targeted advertising. It's this idea that Google knows a lot about you. So what will happen is, Rita, I don't know any off the top of my head. If you can send me an email at support@sectorsmadesimple.com, I can help you to find some. But targeted advertising, the point of it is, for example, for me, I am 25, I play a lot of video games, and I watch a lot of webinars in English and Spanish. So I sometimes get commercials in Spanish for video games. I'll get ads in Spanish or in English for example, a facial hair trimmer or a way of cutting my own hair. They know a lot about me because of how I use the internet, what websites I go to, and all of this. And they try and target ads to me that I'm more likely to buy. They're not going to send me L'Oreal commercials or eye mascara commercials. They're going to send me men's grooming products, hair gel. They're going to send me all sorts of things that they think I might buy. This is a good and bad thing. And again, I'll come back to that in a minute. But again, let's talk about the metaverse here. Because this idea of advertising takes on a whole new meaning. When your data is not limited to what you search, what websites you go to, what videos you watch, it can be a lot of things. So let's talk about user data into the 2020s. We're talking 2025-ish and so on. Because the metaverse doesn't just create opportunities for brands to sell products, it changes the way that we collect data. VR can be used to track eye movement. You can see on my camera when I look left and I look right. VR has the ability to do the same thing. So with that data, here's what they can do. They can find out if you looked at an ad, how long you looked at that ad, how many times did you look at that ad. So if you said, oh, that's an ad, you go back to whatever you're doing and you look again and again and again. They know how long, how many times, if you clicked on the ad, and how many times you've seen that ad in the first place. Nielsen estimates that in order for a person to go from not knowing anything about a product to buying that product, it takes 7 to 11 times for them to see that ad before they buy it. So what if they know how many times you just look? Think about it like this. You're driving down the highway. You're on your way to work and you're driving to work. And there's that ad. There's that billboard. They know how many times you've looked at that billboard and how many seconds you spent looking at it. That is what they can collect in VR and in the metaverse. And that's just data collection. How they use it is another crazy story. Many companies promise, we will not sell your data. What that means is that they're not going to say, hey, here, I collected all this data on my users, have it for $1 million. But that's happened before. And we're not just talking small companies involved. There have been cases where companies have sold millions of users worth of data, and not user 5501. We're literally saying Jonathan Stav and his data is right here. And one of the most popular cases of this involves Facebook. In 2014, Facebook sold data on personality quizzes. They asked you about you. What do you like? What do you not like? What are your preferences? What's your political beliefs? And gave all of this data, literally sold this data to a company, Cambridge Analytica. Cambridge Analytica then used this data to send out political advertisements and tried to help different political groups. This happened in the US for US elections, both presidential and governor, as well as in the UK with Brexit. Now, not much got done. Facebook apologized for their part, but there was very little, because there was very little rules, there was very little punishment. But as a result of this entire issue, the EU passed a law called the GDPR, which tries to protect your data. generic data protection rules or regulations, I believe. The GDPR is the world's best data protection laws there are. And because companies are global, they are required to comply with GDPR, because if they have a single user in the in the EU, they need to now comply with those rules. If you're ever interested, Google, Facebook, Amazon, any of those companies, you can email them, or there's different guides online where they are legally required to give you all of the data that they have on you. What your preferences are, what school you went to, whatever they know about you, they have to tell you. And it's really fascinating to get to see what Facebook or what Google has created for you. Now, let's talk a little bit here about opinions. Okay? Before we end today, I want to talk about some opinions. As technology continues to improve, what we'll see is large trillion-dollar companies buy up new technology, like Oculus got bought out by Facebook. So these big companies can use them for their own uses. Because of this increasing technology, companies are becoming all around us. I'm sure that everyone can say, this is the one company that I use everything for. I store my passwords, my credit card, my dog's information, everything in this one company. For me, it's Google. I use Google for almost everything. I use Google for my browser. My phone runs on a Google platform. Some people use Google for passwords. I personally don't. Some people use Google to store their credit card data. You give a lot of trust to these companies, but they also get a lot of data from it. What you buy, what you're interested in, what videos you watch, how you spend your free time, where you go. And this is not something to fear. Again, this part's my opinion. So again, to me, data collection is not something to fear, and in fact has a lot of benefits. Because for me, I would rather get an ad for a product I'm interested in than a product that has no relation to me whatsoever. Now, there's 5 big companies that are involved in internet and digital products and services that I'm talking about here. Apple, Amazon, Microsoft, Facebook, and Google. Every single person will trust some of these companies more or less than others. But let's again go back to this topic of where we are today with Facebook becoming Meta, with Facebook wanting to create the digital world for us. When a company is saying, we will build you a new world, you have to ask yourself this, and I will not answer this question for you. I will only tell you what my answer is. Do you trust this company to create a new world for you to work, socialize, and play in? The metaverse is not just going to be a pastime. It's going to be where you go to work. It's where you go to the bar for drinks with your coworkers after work. It's going to be where you go to play video games. So if you're spending your entire day, your entire life really, in this new world, you better trust the company that's built that world. Whether you trust Facebook to be that company or not is a different story. And actually, I'm not even going to tell you my opinion. It's a decision for you to make, and my opinion shouldn't tell you what yours should be. All I'm trying to show you is that this idea of the metaverse takes augmented reality and virtual reality and takes the best of both to allow you to interact with a world that can be created. You can make that world whatever you want it to be. But it comes with a cost. The company that creates that world for you also has the ability to give you ads anywhere in that world. Imagine if you woke up and in your bedroom, instead of having a mirror, you just have a billboard. you better trust the company to respect your data, to uphold your data, and to protect it and use it correctly. Instead of giving my opinion, how about this? I'm going to rank these 5 companies in terms of which ones I trust the most to the least. In terms of the companies I trust the most, Apple, I say that in a very interesting light because I don't own a single Apple device, or not one that I use as my main device. Apple I trust the most, then Google, then Microsoft, then Amazon, then Facebook. If Apple were to create a virtual world and the Metaverse, I would go into that right away. I think that would be amazing. I would be super excited to see what they create. My biggest worry about all of this is that Facebook, a company that has a very bad track record when it comes to protecting your data, using your data properly, and not selling your data, is the company that is now saying, trust us to create a new world for you. From there, it's your choice whether you want to believe them or not. So, that's the metaverse. There's not much to talk about with Facebook. We all know what Facebook is. But I wanted to show you all what the metaverse really is. What it looks like to look at a virtual world that Facebook wants to become your everyday world. There's a lot of benefits to it. And a lot of those benefits we already have in AR and VR technology. Seeing these two come together, I'm excited to see it happen, but whether Facebook is the right company to make it happen or not is for you to decide. So I hope that you all have enjoyed this presentation where we didn't just talk about a company, we talked about an idea and a future. Whether we like it or not, it's going to become a future. Whether you need to do it or not is a different story, and whether Facebook will be the company to make it happen or not, another different story. But for today, the story has ended. So thank you all so much for joining today's webinar. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, or ideas that you'd like to hear a future webinar about, send us an email at support@sectorsmadesimple.com. Next Friday, we're going to continue with the Technology Month of webinars, where I'm going to talk about the differences between Apple computers and Microsoft or PC computers, the difference between desktops and laptops, and in 2021, what the best options are for you at different price points and for different uses. So I hope you can join us next week for that webinar, and until then, we'll see you all very, very soon. Take care, everyone. Have a great weekend.